For the continuation of horror stories, please don't forget to like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe. I am 45 years old. It was the early days of my marriage. We had been married for 6 months when I found out I was pregnant. My pregnancy was challenging, and my husband was working. I was alone with no one to help. My family lived in the village, so I went there to stay until the delivery. I returned 3 weeks before giving birth. When I came back home, I noticed that new people had moved into the apartment below ours. I asked my husband who they were, and he said he didn't know them well. They were 2 students who had come to study, he said. I was saddened because I was already in an emotional state due to pregnancy. Oh dear, I can occasionally cook and take food to them, I said. However, my husband told me about the numerous fights they had since moving in. They don't appreciate anything, he said. I asked him, why did you fight with the kids? What did they do to you? They not only fought with me, but also had issues with most people in the building already. It had only been a few weeks, and they disrupted the peace in the building. They didn't care about anyone coming or going. I'm glad you moved. If you had stayed, you wouldn't have been able to sleep even for a day, he said. I thought he might be exaggerating, but I agreed with him after the first night. They were making noise all night, and it was evident that the last days of my pregnancy would be very challenging. I tried to calm my husband down. I was afraid he would go down and fight constantly. We survived the first night like this. What would I do in the following days when my husband left for work? I wanted to talk to them. What would they say if I told them? I couldn't sleep due to the noise because I was pregnant. I rang their doorbell, and a young person in their 20s opened the door. Who were you looking at? Sister, he said, I was looking at you. I live on the floor above. I went to the village and just returned. I'm pregnant, and I have very little time until delivery. I'm having trouble sleeping, and your house was very noisy yesterday. Could you please be a bit quieter? Can you pay attention from now on? I said. The young person looked me up and down, then shamelessly said, did you ask me when I was doing it, sister? Why should I be quiet for you? His response embarrassed me so much that I blushed. I went home and cried out of frustration. I couldn't tell my husband. He would say, how can you go without telling me? He was right, but I didn't expect things to turn out this way. Anyway, my husband came home, and I didn't reveal anything. The noise continued that day too. There was no limit to people going in and out. A girl's voice, a guy's voice. I don't know how many people were in the house. They played rock music all night. Many people in the building were disturbed, but the youngsters didn't care. Eventually, I gave birth, but our troubles didn't end. One day, while cleaning my husband's shoes, I found a small piece of paper inside. When I opened it, I saw Arabic writings. In the evening, I told my husband, and he started thinking about who could have done it. We hadn't seen any negative effects yet, so he didn't pay much attention. The matter closed there after that. We always heard our baby crying in the house. When I went to her, she was peacefully asleep, but as soon as I left, crying sounds would start again. My husband experienced the same, and the constant tension led to fights between us. Our home lost its peace. One day, noise was coming from the apartment below again. But this time it wasn't music, it was the sound of glass breaking, mirrors shattering, and so on. Half an hour later, screams echoed throughout the building. We thought people were disturbed by the noise and had fought with the youngsters, but it turned out to be something else. Unable to tolerate the noise, my husband went outside, and when he returned, his face was pale. "What happened? Did you fight with them?" I asked. "Didn't you see anything?" he said. "What am I supposed to see? What happened?" I asked. "There are lots of police outside. They went to their house," he said. I went to the window to look. No, don't look. Come. "I'll tell you," he said. "Why shouldn't I look?" "What are you hiding from me?" I said. "There was a girl in the youngster's house today." "Did you see her when she entered?" he said. "No, I didn't see anyone." "Who was that girl?" I said. "The girl is dead," he said. "They found her dead." Now, we don't know if the girl committed suicide or if those youngsters did something. The police took the youngsters. No one visited their house for a long time anyway. I used to get scared when I was alone at home. The death of someone in the apartment below affected me badly. Then the police questioned everyone in the building. Some had already heard the girl scream. They had called the police for her 2 days later. They found her dead. The police also came to us and asked if we heard anything. We told them we heard sounds like glass breaking, and some had already heard a woman scream. They had already called the police for that. Every time I passed by their house, my hair stood on end. The police had put a tape reminding us of the murder constantly. Meanwhile, my dreams had changed. After giving birth, I used to have meaningless dreams, but now my dreams were becoming reality. One night I had a dream. In my dream, I went to the youngster's house with a girl. I was their guest, and I saw the girl next to me for the first time. Although she had been my friend for a long time, after entering the house, they offered us alcohol. I said I never drink, but the girl drank. She was in love with one of the youngsters, and she was constantly trying to impress him, trying every way to win him over. Finally, the youngsters said, "Let's begin." I asked, "Begin what?" They said they were going to summon someone, and they wanted me to join. I refused to call anyone, but I watched them from a chair without sitting down. The girl immediately joined them. They sat cross-legged on the floor, closed their eyes, and told the girl not to open her eyes. Then a completely black, long entity appeared among them. The guys opened their eyes, but the girl's eyes were still closed, as if she were asleep. She couldn't hear us. That black entity wanted the youngsters to sacrifice the girl, and they agreed without hesitation. I tried to wake the girl, saying, "Wake up, quickly, snap out of it. They're going to kill you," but she didn't hear me. Then they put a plastic bag over the girl's head. Since she was asleep, she couldn't remove the bag, and she died from suffocation without struggling. After she died without any struggle, 2 mirrors in the house burst one after the other. I was so scared that I woke up to my own screams. Later, those youngsters confessed to the murder. They might still be in prison. Even though they were completely gone, their voices continued to haunt the house. When we lived there, my baby was very restless. She used to cry in her sleep and wake up. Over time, all our neighbors left the building. and everyone called it cursed. The building remained empty because no one moved in. I don't know what happened after that. We never visited that neighborhood again.